Welcome to the Mitt TV podcast Home Factor, where we dive into all things related to the ever-changing world of real estate. I'm your host, Michelle Milam, a seasoned professional with over 4 decades of experience in marketing, design, and sales. As a top 100 realtor in Macomb County, Michigan, I have a track record of excellence, having earned multiple awards in sales, marketing, and our customer satisfaction. Our mission here at Home Factor is to provide you, our listeners, with real-world insights and practical tips for managing your most valuable asset, your home. Whether you're a current homeowner or aspire to be one in the future, this podcast is for you. We'll cover a range of engaging topics from industry trends to day-to-day changes to help you navigate the complex world of homeownership. So tune in and join the conversation as we explore all the factors that go into owning a home. Good morning, Luke. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have Luke Fluent from Pilot Properties.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is my first podcast, but I'm excited and I think it'll be a great one.
Say first time, long time.
First time, long time. Right.
Like we listen to that popular radio station. Well, I asked Luke to come in today because I've been talking to you a lot about residential real estate on my different podcasts, and I realized that there's a person in my business network that I was neglecting, and that was Luke. Luke is my go-to for all things commercial.
So thank you, Michelle. I'm a commercial real estate agent, obviously, with Pilot Property Group. I have been in this business since I have graduated high school. This was my passion. I enjoy it very much. You'll see on the screen there just a little bit about me. I went to Michigan State. I got a 4-year degree for economics. And like I said, now I've been in this commercial real estate game since, I was 2017, and then I went back and forth to college, and then graduated during the midst of COVID, and then full time, just jumped right into it.
You're what they call a triple threat because you worked in the field prior to ever getting any degree. Then you went and got a degree and got a darn good one from Michigan State, and you could have probably done anything you wanted. Why did you choose commercial real estate?
So I just had a passion for it. I don't know why. I don't have a good answer. I think I was a competitive kid growing up. My sister, my family, my dad, my friends, everything was about competition. So to me, I saw this business as a way that did not cap me, but it also didn't reward me for doing nothing. And I think I respect that more so than anything.
I like that. I might have to steal that if I'm ever on a national platform. I've never heard of it quite described like that, but that makes a lot of sense because I think of myself some ways as being competitive as far as with sports. So I can get that analogy. That is an awesome one. So when I said that I go to you for commercial, too many times in our industry, I see where you get an agent and they want to do everything. Are you an agent? Yes, I can do this, I can do that. Of course, you and I both know I could sell commercial, you could sell residential. However, would I be doing my client the best service?
Right. 100%. And that's a thing we see all the time. And, the divide between residential and commercial. Yes. When people ask, we do the same thing, but we do nothing of the same thing.
Exactly.
We don't talk to the same people. We don't work on the same products. We don't learn the same techniques. We don't train the same way. So, I think today will be great to show people like just the true differences in the value that each of us bring to our client. I'd be doing a disservice if I were to go show a home. Mm-hmm. I want to give that to somebody who can analyze what they need to analyze.
So when you talk about commercial, this was something that, of course, I didn't study all this. I just did the home thing. I didn't look too far. You're always talking about this net, different types of leases. Is everything commercial sold, or do you deal with a lot of things that are like leased as well?
So I think that depends on your market, but it's about a 50-50 share. We do a ton of leasing and we do a ton of solds as well. Obviously, you're mentioning gross leases and triple net leases. Two are the two main types of leases. Gross is an inclusion, so it includes your common area maintenance, your property taxes, and your property insurance. Triple nets, those are just independently billed based on your proportionate share of occupied space. So just two schools of thought for a lease.
Now, with the COVID thing and people working from home, do we have a surplus of available office space now?
Honestly, so that's what most people think. if you were to go to Detroit, or I'm just going to name off some Michigan locations, Detroit, Southfield, Troy, I would say yes, we do have a surplus. But when you come up here to Romeo, the Macomb County market, Eastern Oakland County, we do not have a surplus. It is still very difficult to find quality office space.
That's kind of what I was hearing, and I was shocked at that because, of course, I was like, everybody's working from home. Have you seen them taking some of the office spaces and repurposing them for other things nowadays?
A little bit here and there. People can use a big thing is like online warehousing and stuff like that and logistics. So I will sometimes I'll walk into an office and I'll see hundreds of boxes full of, whatever the product that somebody is shipping. So yeah, for sure. But I think there was a stage there where everyone was like, "Oh, I don't need an office. I can work from home." And then they realized productivity, although you're saving in overhead without having an office, but productivity might be dropping as well. So you got to kind of balance that.
What would be a complete win as far as location? If you were going to get a listing today for commercial office space, where would you want that listing to be?
I mean,
Where do you need the most?
we're in a hot zone right here. I think Washington Township, North Shelby Township still is growing at a clip that is it's crazy actually. Honestly, product or property values are, I'm sure you're seeing it in
Yeah.
homes,
Yes.
but even in commercial, it's still growing. And that, the 26 mile and Van Dyke corridor right now is still one of the hottest corridors.
That's amazing because I can remember 10, 15 years ago where we had fields everywhere, and
Yeah.
I was sitting in a committee how to drive business up north here. And now it seems to have finally caught on.
Yeah.
Some people had said it's because we didn't connect to a railroad or an expressway. I
Right.
think nowadays people, they don't mind that. They don't mind to come for quality of life out a little bit further.
I think so. And I think a lot of people are moving out here, and I'm sure you're seeing that. And then, not having to drive all the way towards the city is a huge advantage for people if they can, make that lifestyle choice.
Now, with the commercial real estate, is your commission already built into the price, or do you have to negotiate your own commission? Is that something that is scary for you nowadays?
So, uh, when I took my real estate classes, everybody who I did this with was going into residential, and my teacher was also a residential experienced agent, and she referred to us as the wild, wild west. And when I was 18 years old, I was like, what could that mean? What could the wild, wild west mean? But honestly, we do get to set our own commissions, but there's a community standard. I think a lot in commercial, I work with a lot of the same people who are not a part of my team or not at Pilot Property Group. And when I work with those guys, I can ask them, what's the commission here? And they'll tell me 3 and 3, or, and sometimes if you go to Rochester, you go to Troy and you do an office deal, the tenant representing broker will get 5% or something like that. So I have no shame in asking,
Mhm.
and I have no shame in telling people what the commission is.
Of course, it's your job.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the doctor, they give you the bill.
But I want to make sure a standard is 3 and 3 in commercial.
So it kind of mirrors residential.
Yes.
And people said about that new lawsuit where it was settled with the buyer's agent commission. I have seen no change in that. We always negotiated our commissions at the listing appointment. The listing agent took it on their shoulders to make sure we had a good partner to work with
Right.
by offering a commission. So
Right.
I know it can be explained a ton of different ways, and the bottom line is we always negotiated our commission up front, and it was made aware and available. So to me, commissions are not really changing.
I don't think they are. And, I tell people, like, in maybe not so, or maybe also in residential, like, if you want to offer a lower commission to a buyer's agent, I think you're going to get less work out of them. I think everything is, I'm sorry, we're creatures of habit, and we're based off money. That's what happens. That's why we work. And I don't know if your property will get the fairest shake in the event you kind of want to lowball the commission. So there's two schools of thought there, I guess.
I couldn't agree more. I've had to take a haircut on my side to make a deal work because I had a person that was in dire straits financially over their head and their property. I took the hit on my end, knowing perfectly well that they would remember and hopefully come back,
Right.
which they did. And the buyer's agent called me and said, I realize you're not getting as much as I am. I said, no, that's the right thing to do. And they were very gracious as well. They offered to even split it, but I said, no, I knew
Right.
going into it. But you know, so financing with commercial, obviously you're talking a lot bigger money than a residential.
Yeah.
Where do you go if, let's say, I've done some work, I've saved some money, but I don't have it all. Can I get financing on a commercial piece of property, or is that you
No,
got to
you
have all the money?
absolutely can. You can kind of go to the same banks that you would as a if you were going to get a residential loan. I do think that in the current times right now, things are a little bit uncertain. I'm sure everybody knows that interest rates have a tendency to kind of get up there. It can be difficult to obtain a loan in the event you're a first-time commercial investor right now. We're seeing some banks that are not opting to write as much as they were. Where we have seen kind of a little bit of a hack, if you will, is if you're going to be an owner occupant. If you're going to be an owner occupant of a property, which means you're occupying 51% of the property, banks are more eager to provide you the paper.
I think this podcast is worth just knowing that. That was amazing because I had no idea, but that does make sense. If you're willing to hang your hat or put some skin in the game with your own business, it
Right,
sounds like it'll be a win.
right.
Is there any financial institution you would like to give a shout out to that's been doing a great job for you?
Honestly, I kind of work, I tell my people like, and I think we'll get into this later, but commercial property, the deal sizes vary so much, right? You could be working on $100,000 deal, or you could be working on a $5.4 million deal just the next day. So I don't have one that I use specifically. I kind of tell people to shop, and I give a list of three or four and kind of go from there.
Now, we always talk in the residential about your inspections. Do commercial properties go through inspectors as well?
Absolutely. I think it's super imperative for people to inspect. And I think this is one of the things where we can kind of get into that residential versus commercial merge. Sometimes when I see residential agents dealing on commercial properties, we're happy to work with them, but sometimes they'll hit us with a 7-day due diligence. We don't do that.
Right.
Our due diligences are 30 to 45 to 60 days.
That's what I was wondering.
So yes, we do inspections, but I usually recommend 4 different inspections: a plumbing inspection, an HVAC inspection, an electrical inspection, and a mechanical inspection. And I usually say, you want at least all 4 of those to examine the major mechanicals and plumbing and HVAC in the building, because those are your massive expenses. Oh, I also forgot a roof inspector.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll definitely want to have all those done. And then, I say if people want to get the general inspector, because I understand it gives people people who have bought a home, it lets them feel at ease. By all means, get that one too. I'm an advocate for probably over inspecting, just because, you're spending X amount of dollars and you're committing either your business or your, this is going to be your financial asset. You want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
So as an agent, would you be the person that would go to the municipality and make sure the business they want to run out of that space is allowed, or is
Oh,
it something?
100%. And, just on a day-to-day basis, like we deal with zoning codes. I know that, if someone's going to, for example, if you're going to open up a tattoo shop, I know you can't have a C1 zoning. I know that you need at least a C3 in certain municipalities because you're going to pierce the skin. Same thing with if you're just doing eyebrows. I know you can have a C1, but if you go into microblading, which technically pierces the skin, you have to have a C3. So things like that, like on a day-to-day basis, I'm just familiar with it. And if I have any questions, we have great relationships with all the municipalities. I call them up and, it takes 5 minutes.
Did you ever think, as a commercial realtor, you would know so much about these little things?
That's why I love it though.
That's why
right?
you're good. That's why
it's
you're
so much fun. We learn about other people, and I think the day that you stop learning is the day you start making mistakes.
Absolutely. Wow, I'm impressed. So what is a typical workload for a commercial guy? Do you have more or less work than the average realtor?
I would probably say work is kind of what you make it. I have a lot of friends and stuff that I see that do residential real estate, and they're working tireless hours, But then again, their hours are a little bit more what you make them. So oftentimes in residential, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you'll work further into the night just because that's when people get off work and stuff
Yes.
like that. But, you also might have a morning to, have either go to the gym or have a cup of coffee. So
Guilty. Yep.
my is more, or the commercial hour is more standard. I usually start work around 7:15, 7:30, and I work until about 4 p.m. And then I always say, like, in this business, you're just never done working. If my phone rings at 4:30 while I'm at the gym or wherever it may be, I'm gonna pick up that phone call. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna pick it up. And if you start not picking up the phone, you're passing on business. So that's just not in a position that I'm in. And
We should note that Luke is our earliest riser for our real estate podcast. Every realtor I've ever dealt with, they all tell me if I say 9 a.m. call, they're like, "Are you kidding me?" And Luke was like, "Yeah, whatever time in the morning." And
I,
I jokingly said, "What time is morning?" Because most people in the real estate industry don't do mornings.
yeah, I
So
gotta give my broker Anthony Rubino, who actually started Pilot Property Group some years ago. Uh, he's a hustler. He is my mentor. He told me everything and taught me everything that I know. And early bird does get the worm.
that's great that I remember when you started working with him, and I thought, oh my gosh, what a perfect fit. I mean, that guy's name is everywhere in Macomb County for sure,
Yeah,
parts of Oakland. I'm not sure how far because I don't go
yeah.
everywhere, but I know that he is a force. I know he has a great reputation and a great company. Um, did you interview at a lot of places, or did you just know? You just knew out of the gate?
I uh, I actually just showed up one day on the doorstep. I put a call in. I got Anthony's number. Through a mutual friend. I put a call in. I was like, hey, I'm a 18-year-old kid who's going to graduate high school in 2 weeks. I kind of want to
No.
just work here. And he's like, being the guy that Anthony is, he's very relaxed. He's super genuine. He was like, all right, well, just come in a month or so. And I showed up in a full suit and he was in a golf shirt and jeans. And he was like, wow, you're ready for this. And I was like, all right. Nah. It was a perfect fit. I
Oh,
ended up interning over there and, I'm super happy with the business that we have built.
I see you're a senior associate now.
Yep.
Run into people out in the neighborhood and they tell me the sky is the limit for you. So that is amazing. What are some things that a pilot property is doing now for their clients that maybe it's new or they weren't doing previously?
Yeah, so we actually recently started a property and asset management business, and this is something that I have really taken an interest in, and I do a lot of, and you'll see it come up here on the screen. Um, we do everything from rent collections, maintenance to financial sheets and stuff like that. Basically, we will run your property hands off, top to bottom. This is huge because you'll see properties here 127,000 square feet in Auburn Hills, right? Like to manage that it's work on a daily basis. And Dan Rubino, who's actually Anthony's father, started this business, and I have jumped in it with him, and we have grown over the past few years to new heights, and we're happy to do it.
I could see that being a fit for you because I know you have to be detail orientated. I know you have to have follow up for those kind of roles. So I
Yeah.
know that that's great. And I'm sure you have a great list of vendors that you reach out to take care of all your properties.
Understanding contractors has been a new experience for me, and I'm not going to say us, but probably us as well. Just, when something goes wrong or anything like that, that's another thing. Like your phone, it's never off.
Mhm.
You always have to answer it, and probably even more so in that business than commercial real estate brokerage.
Now, will you be doing home property management, for lease and rentals?
We do stay away from that a little bit, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this, we actually manage some apartment complexes like this right there. So you'll see on the bottom there, that's an 18 unit residential apartment complex that we manage. We also manage a 24 unit complex in Chesterfield. We're picking up a 16 unit
That's
complex in
perfect.
Sterling Heights. Like our I will be honest, our goal is not to manage residential property, but if the opportunity presents itself for stuff like that, we feel that we can take that on, and we have, and it's been great.
It makes sense. It absolutely
But if
makes
you're
sense.
asking about the average individual home, I would say no.
Good. I like it
Just
because you're dedicated to a commercial space, multi apartment, multi condo, what have you. So that
yeah,
makes sense. It goes with your business ideals. And that's why I encourage all my fellow residential realtors to consider you when they look for a partner in the commercial world because you're not looking to take their business away or their client away. You're looking to supplement their business.
yeah.
That's what you've done for me. I know one of my guys in the insurance industry has been shopping with you a lot.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and he just tells me it's bad out there. He says you would think there'd be a lot of properties.
So, I mean, Sinar and I have been working together now for a couple of months trying to find the perfect office. These guys are ready to move into what would be compared to as the home, I think, in the residential world, where they're ready for their big, beautiful office. And, finding it is, I think Sinar's doing it the right way, where he's not jumping into anything, making sure that, everything is what you want, rather than just saying like, oh, what, I might be able to make this work or something of that nature. Let the business kind of come to you and let the space speak to you, kind of like homes, I'm sure, do for people.
Are you able to negotiate a build out with some of the property owners, or is that always on the person buying?
Absolutely. That's a huge thing, is especially it's market dependent rather, but if someone's moving into an office and they're signing a deal that's 3 years, you're going to get less of a build out. You might only get carpet and paint if you sign a 3 year lease. If you sign a 5 to 7 year lease, I might be able to get you a complete renovation with maybe glass windows or something like that, right? So everything in commercial is dictated by term. And of course, rate and stuff like that.
That's new. Okay. You've just told me so much that I didn't even know before. Okay. So for sure, I maybe live in have owner occupancy of 51%, will help me get my financing, and longer terms will help me get what I need to get done. All right. I'm figuring this out slowly.
The longer the term, the more attractive it is to a landlord. If you come to me and were like, I'm interested in doing a 1 year lease, to the landlord, that's like, why are you only doing this for 1 year? You should do nothing in the business world for 1 year. If you can't comfortably plan the next, at the minimum, 3 years, frankly, I don't want anything to deal with you. So we see that a lot. I'll bring 1 year deals to landlords, and they'll be like, I'm good. Don't want it. I need at least 36 months.
Wow. That is quite different.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get what they're saying in the sense that a year goes fast, and at least get it off your headache for a while.
It does.
Wow. Okay. So that's like a lot of stuff that I'm figuring out. I'm thinking here.
I don't think we're going to get to half the notes that I have in here.
Oh, well,
because
I knew you would be so good at this. You wouldn't need to worry about those kind of things. But if you had to tell a first timer or somebody who's been in the business a minute, and what is the direction you would invest your money in as far as in commercial today? If you could say, okay, this is where I see this going.
I would really pick markets rather than I would sectors.
Okay.
For example, right now the industrial market is booming at an uncontrollable rate.
Really?
So 4 or 5 years ago, industrial buildings would trade for maybe $60 per square foot. And I want to make note of this per square foot number, because in commercial, we use per square foot. We rarely ever use the actual sales price for comparables. I'll look at the Romeo market, and I'll look at the office buildings, and they're trading for, on average, $130 per square foot. It's never like an average medium price. It's really that per square foot number. So where was I? Oh, industrial. It was, industrial would trade for roughly $60 a square foot. And for people who don't know, industrial is mainly just warehouse space. It's open air. It's a concrete floor with a roof and 4 walls, maybe a couple of offices up front. Now, ever since COVID, we're seeing a super high demand. And I think it has a lot to do with the logistics thing being very, very real.
Okay.
The warehousing being very, very real. You can even look at, if you want to look at this on a larger scale, you go to Boston. The rents in Boston near the ports are extremely high, and they're facing extremely low vacancies. And I think that has a trickle down effect. It's crazy, I know, but all the way back here to Michigan, to Detroit, you'll see the same exact thing. Low vacancies, super high rents. So I really don't see that market slowing down. I think this is a prime time for people to, in the event they want an office building, feel free to take one. You might be able to find one that's maybe a little bit depressed and low on tenants, and put a little bit of work into it and really make it a nice building. But like I said, I think location is more important than just about anything. I'm sure it is in residential too. And, picking your market is going to be your most important factor.
I like all this. I like everything you're saying regarding this. And so do you work with a client that just says, hey, I've never done this before, but I have a little bit of extra cash windfall here, and I'd like to get into commercial real estate. Is that a client you would consider working with, or is that just too?
Oh, no, absolutely. We would be more than happy. And that's why I think Pilot Property Group strives as a whole. We want to work with you, whether you're selling, like I said, $5.5 million worth of, 127,000 square feet of industrial, or you're buying your first project at $250,000. I mean, both of which deserve the utmost attention. And that's something we will definitely take on.
How are people to get a contact with you? Because I feel like you're going to get some phone calls for the. Can you give people your phone number here? Because I really feel like you've said a lot of things that are going to make people want to get a hold of you.
So my phone number is 586-651-3337. It's posted up on the screen there. You got my email right there as well, my office line. So if anybody ever wants to get in touch with me, like I said, my phone is it's probably always on to a fault.
I think that's amazing. And I want to make sure that we do a really good job of highlighting the fact that you're not looking to take anybody's residential business, but you are the commercial go-to guy. Your market is thriving. Definitely looking at more of the industrial sector space. Location, location, location is everything.
That is it.
Anything else you want to leave us with today?
Honestly, no. If anybody ever has any questions about anything resident or anything commercial, I'd be more than happy to answer. And I want to make sure people know that even if you're not ready to purchase, or you're not ready to sell, or you're not ready to lease, feel free to call me. I'd love to sit down and have a cup of coffee and entertain and possibly, hopefully educate you about the market, and hopefully you can educate me about their business, because truthfully, that's the joy that I get out of this job.
And are you to the point where you're going to be needing an assistant?
I am not going to be needing an assistant. We have an awesome, wonderful executive staff at Pilot Property Group who takes care of us in every way possible, and they are the best. So no assistants, just we're working as a team, and I think we're going to continue to thrive.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being with us today, Luke, and it was a pleasure to get to hear more about the commercial real estate market. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.